Now at 9, what charge the 4 suspects arrested in connection to the Moscow attack are facing.
Plus, why students gathered at the scramble light as battles continue in Gaza.
And what to keep in mind as the U.S. is just 2 weeks away from the eclipse.
And how much senators hope an inhaler will cost Americans after this investigation.
We are under a wind advisory here in East Central Indiana. Find out how long this will last and how big the gusts will be in my full forecast.
Local news about local people, live from Ball State Unified Media. You're watching NewsLink Indiana.
Good evening and thanks for being with us. I'm Emma Matlock.
And I'm Luke Barnes. In Russia, 4 suspects in the deadly Moscow concert hall attack have been charged with committing a terrorist attack.
Now, each had a number of visible injuries as they went before a judge. The death toll from Friday's attack now stands at 139. Crews are searching debris from the devastating fire, which the gunmen are accused of setting. Robots and dogs are also being used in the search in case there are more buried under the rubble.
Today, a few students gathered on the corner of McKinley and Riverside to call for a ceasefire in Gaza. Chants like "Free Palestine" and "Let Gaza Live" rang out from the group. They held signs with various slogans and handed out stickers. Some passerbyers also voiced their opinion on the issue to protesters. One of the organizers, Tanner Brininger, explains why this type of activism is important and builds on the emotions often felt in situations like these.
I think the biggest thing for me is to spark conversation. I think lack of education and understanding on the situation is major, and I think that's contributing to a lot of the anger and frustration that we're seeing, especially in mass media right now. It is right to be angry and it's right to be frustrated. That is valid, and I think that we need to direct our anger and our frustrations towards something productive.
The same group is looking to organize another protest in the upcoming weeks.
Researchers are warning people to be mindful if they're driving on Eclipse Day, April 8th, which is just 2 weeks away. In a new analysis just published, there was a brief surge in traffic accidents around the time of the last total solar eclipse in 2017. Traffic risk increased 31%, according to the journal JAMA Internal Medicine. That's an average of 1 extra crash every 25 minutes and 1 extra crash fatality every 95 minutes. The increased risks were similar to those seen around other busy travel holidays. The authors note that the increased risks occurred in the hours before and after the moment of totality, not when everything was dark.
Well, we've got some interesting weather looking forward to Solar Eclipse Day. Let's hear more from our guy Oliver.
Well, we are going to be seeing some very blustery conditions as we move throughout tonight. We are, in fact, under a wind advisory, and that's going to be lasting until 6 p.m. tomorrow. So we could be seeing gusts of up to 50 miles per hour, especially in the overnight hours. And tomorrow, it doesn't die down at all. We could be seeing some even severe storms move into the area as we make our way into tomorrow afternoon. But a little bit of a calmer week ahead. I'll have all that and more in my full forecast.
More turbulence in America's aviation industry. Boeing CEO says he's out, announcing that he'll leave the company by year's end. Laura Aguirre has more on the fast-moving changes rocking the air travel industry.
We don't put airplanes in the air that we don't have 100% confidence in.
That was Boeing President and CEO Dave Calhoun back in January, after assuring lawmakers on Capitol Hill of Boeing's commitment to safety and transparency. Now Calhoun says he's stepping down, along with 2 other top Boeing execs, by year's end. In a letter to employees Monday, Calhoun called the Alaska Airlines accident a watershed moment for Boeing, saying the company must continue to respond to the accident with humility and complete transparency. The Alaska Airlines door plug blowout in January is just one of several high-profile Boeing-related flight mishaps so far this year. Calhoun told employees that during this transition, Boeing will remain squarely focused on returning the company to stability after extraordinary challenges in recent years. Over the weekend, the FAA announced it's increasing its oversight of United, Boeing's largest U.S. customer, to ensure that the airline is complying with safety regulations, identifying hazards, and mitigating risk, a move that could impact United's future plans and decisions.
Whether to drop or expand a route whether to increase the number of flights to a city. Those kinds of decisions may be pushed back.
While that may not cause delays for current routes, it could mean the busier high-demand routes may not offer more options to passengers anytime soon. I'm Laura Aguirre reporting.
This, as the Federal Aviation Administration says it's increasing its presence in United Airlines operations, more closely looking at workflows, manuals, and facilities amid rising in-flight safety incidents.
According to a statement from Kensington Palace, the Prince and Princess of Wales are, quote, enormously touched by the public support she has received after revealing she's been diagnosed with cancer. It comes as good wishes and sympathies have been pouring in from around the world. CNN's Max Foster has more from London.
A massive shift in sentiment here in the UK from Friday into the weekend. If we go back to Friday morning, we're really at that peak point of speculation and fear about what happened to what people are calling the disappearing princess on social media. But then we had that extraordinary video that came out on Friday, entirely Kate's idea, I'm told, and she described what had happened after what she now describes as major surgery in January, a recovery process, then the news that they had found some signs of cancer, and then into chemotherapy in late February. And then there was this really key process for the princess, which was how to deal with the children, to reveal it to them, to help them understand it, and then at that point they could reveal it to the world. So that announcement was very much timed for the end of the school term, at which point they could reveal it to the world whilst protecting their children. So they're really calling for privacy at this point. We will be seeing Prince William at public engagements, but not nearly as much as we're used to. Kate will try to go out at public engagements if she can, but really she's not going to be out full time until she's been given the all clear from doctors. So they're calling for everyone to respect their privacy, the media, but also the public. And then you have a question about what happens at this place, Buckingham Palace. You know, there's a huge amount of pressure at the top of the royal family right now. There were 4 senior royals in full-time public duties. Now we have 2. They are Queen Camilla and Prince William, both of whom have partners who have spouses who have cancer, and they have families to worry about, but they also have to represent the monarchy. But as the late Queen Elizabeth used to say, you have to be seen to be believed if you're in this role. So they understand they have to represent monarchy out in public, but they've got to balance that with a, really tough, traumatic time back at home. That's a big challenge going forward, but they're asking for public patience really as they go through that process. Max Foster, CNN, Buckingham Palace.
Now, the announcement comes after rumors have been circulating about the princess's absence.
Many Americans with asthma and COPD will soon pay only $35 for their inhalers. Friday, senators announced 3 of the 4 major manufacturers have agreed to cap the cost. They are GlaxoSmithKline, AstraZeneca, and Boehringer Ingelheim. The announcement comes months after a Senate committee launched an investigation into the price of asthma inhalers. Sanders says the investigation showed Americans are paying more than 10 times for the inhalers compared to patients in other developed countries.
Ball State's improv comedy club, Absolunacy, hosted an annual comedy festival called Chirp Up. 5 different colleges from the Midwest came to Ball State to improve their craft in improv comedy. NewsLink Indiana's Daniel Hochstetler talks to one of the instructors who was made home with improv, but came back to her roots. And to provide transparency, our Oliver Moster is vice president of the club.
Comedy brings smiles and laughter. Dozens of future comedians at the Chirp Up Festival are finding their funny bone and improving their improv skills in workshops on Ball State's campus. Katie Kincaid, who's a comedian based in Chicago, runs one of the workshops. She has an exercise that helps students.
So the workshop that I put on today for the groups was a workshop that I named Why Are the Lights Up on This Moment? So for my improv troupe up in Chicago, we focused a lot on relationships of people within the scene.
Co-president of the Improv Comedy Club, Ivy Nugent, took Kincaid's workshop.
So that was honestly, it was my favorite workshop that we did. I think that developing relationships with your other people that you're performing with is one of the most important things when it comes to improv.
Kincaid was an instructor, but in college she was in the same seats as these inspiring comedians.
Doing the workshop did bring back some good memories because I remember being a part. I think one of my years with ABSO, we put on the first festival.
Kincaid was also part of the ABSO Improv Comedy Club when she attended Ball State.
And then I was a part of ABSO for 3 years, and it was a hugely formative experience for me. I made some of my closest friendships in college in ABSO. It also kind of opened the door for me to what I ultimately really wanted to do, which is pursue comedy.
Kincaid is in Chicago pursuing her dreams of being a comedian. In Muncie, Daniel Hochstetler, NewsLink, Indiana.
After the workshops, they performed at Bruce Hall in front of an audience. This is a yearly event and will be back next year.
Coming up, how one fast food chain is changing a decades-old policy.
And what forms of identification you'll need to get a hot dog at Costco, next.
Dear moms and dads, what you have achieved here today is going to help us and our futures. It is why we are coming up on stage to collect your diplomas.
You know it's true.
Mom, love you always.
Everything I do.
When you graduate, they graduate. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you.
Last week, Brandon met a girl on a dating app. One day after work, he finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being too pushy? Maybe it was too...
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving. I would love to go on a date. How does tonight sound?
Brandon tried to play it cool, but inside he knew. A girl so smart, so responsible. She must be a keeper.
Eva Marie smoked 12,000 packs of cigarettes over 15 years. She quit, and now there's a new lung cancer screening that could save her life. You stopped smoking, now start screening. No matter how much you smoked, early detection could save you. Talk to your doctor or learn more at savedbythescan.org.
Man, it's lonely. Like, going through life lonely.
There is the therapeutic aspect of music, just expressing how you feel. I'm going to talk to Howie about his feelings, make it into a song.
Welcome back. If you're a fan of Nike sneakers, some of them may become more difficult for you to find. That's because Nike wants to slash supply of its Nike Air Force One and Nike Pegasus sneakers in order to boost demand. Nike's goal is to prevent discounting and make room for its newer lines. Discounting has become a big problem for Nike. Growth has slowed for some of its products, and stores have been promoting the shoes to clear inventory. So the company plans to cut back supply in order to sell its merchandise at higher prices and keep them from being heavily discounted. Nike expects the cutbacks to hurt sales during the upcoming fiscal year.
Chick-fil-A is doing away with its no antibiotics ever promise. The fast food giant will now use a looser industry standard, no antibiotics important to human medicine. That's the standard recognized by the USDA and World Health Organization. Chick-fil-A first pledged never to serve chicken that was fed antibiotics in 2014. The company cited diminishing chicken supply as the reason for abandoning that policy. Tyson, America's largest poultry company, ended its 8-year no antibiotics pledge last summer. Antibiotic use in food production has come under intense scrutiny in recent years.
Costco is keeping a closer watch on its $1.50 hot dogs, drinks, and pizza slices. A Reddit photo from a Costco in Florida shows a sign that people without an active Costco membership card won't be allowed to buy items from the food court. This rule was always in place, but analysts say it was never actually enforced. However, the membership card rule officially comes effective April 8th.
Very sad news about that Costco, but we are going to be seeing some pretty gusty conditions here tomorrow. Stay tuned after the break.
As a dad, every day is a challenge. To make sure that the time that I spend with them, it doesn't matter how tired you are, you have to try to teach them. When they learn something new and you can just see in their faces, it's such an incredible moment. It's those moments that are my favorite.
Oh man, I can't believe I'm missing this. Okay, Grandma. I see you.
Don't get stuck at home with the flu. A flu shot is the best way to prevent the flu and its potentially serious complications. It keeps you, your community, and loved ones protected. Don't get flu FOMO. Learn more at getmyflushot.org.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. What about those barbecues you plan in detail for your family? Or your daughter's first costume party? It was out of this world. The same way you plan each detail for those moments, start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make.
Can't believe you're doing this alone. I've done it before. I remember you threw your back out. How you holding up? Hand me that board. Nothing wrong with getting help. I'm good. I did it when Felicia left. I'll figure it out. I know you will, but you don't have to do it alone. That's all I'm saying. If I promise to look into it, will you drop it and help me build this fence? Now you need my help. It can be a real pain sometimes, you know that? Mm-hmm.
If you or a veteran you know needs support, don't wait. Reach out. Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Welcome back to NewsLink Indiana. I'm weather forecaster Oliver Monster here with a look at the week ahead. Starting off with these current temperatures, absolutely beautiful day out there today in East Central Indiana. And we're still feeling pretty warm here. 64 degrees in Muncie, 64 down there in Indianapolis, and still above 60 throughout most of the state. As we zoom in a little bit closer, we are still seeing those lower 60-degree temperatures. But if you took a walk outside, you might have noticed a little bit of wind under some pretty clear conditions. And those clouds are going to be gathering as we move throughout tonight. Winds are also going to be picking up speed as we move into the early morning hours, and we are placed under a wind advisory. Could be seeing gusts up to 50 miles per hour overnight. That wind advisory is going to be in effect until 6 p.m. here for Delaware County, Henry, Madison, and Randolph counties in our viewing area. So what can we expect from this? Well, again, I said gusts of up to almost 50 miles per hour as we put this into motion. 42 miles per hour there Tuesday, 5 a.m. It does die down just a little bit as we make our way into the rest of the day, but I mean the entire state of Indiana is going to be affected by these high winds. So if you are going out tomorrow, just make sure you've got everything strapped down, especially if you're putting like a trash can out on the curb tonight. Speaking of tonight, though, again, those gusty conditions continue, and we are going to be seeing some rain move into the area, especially after midnight. And that rain is going to continue as we make our way into the early morning hours of tomorrow. Don't be surprised if you feel a little bit of a sprinkle as you go into the noon hours, and then we could be seeing some more of those heavier storms as we go into the 5 p.m. time line. Now taking a look at our precision cast, again seeing some heavier spots, but as we move into the afternoon, we see this large band of some more intense pockets here. Down by Richmond, we're seeing some of that red around 6 p.m. So we could have the possibility for some severe weather, especially if the clouds do break and we start seeing some sunshine in the afternoon. Now with that, again, winds are going to be the biggest threat with the severe weather. Could be seeing some hail, and we could be seeing a tornado as well, but I expect that to happen a little bit more as you make your way into western Ohio. Now, as we go throughout the rest of the week, just got to keep in mind that the eclipse is 14 days away. We had that story earlier about driving hazards. Remember, the eclipse that happened in 2017 happened in more rural areas, so people were able to camp out for the eclipse. This one is happening in more densely populated areas, so you got to watch the roads as you are going out for the eclipse. But as we take a look at the coming week here on the Ross 7-day forecast, again, chances of showers there tomorrow and those windy conditions, but it does definitely cool off and become much more of a mild week as you go into the rest of the week. 63 degrees there on Friday. A little bit more chance for some gathering clouds as well as some precipitation as you make your way into the beginning of the week. But again, those just mild temperatures that we saw today, just going to come back at the end of the week today.
Wow, I did not know I'd have it already break out the windbreaker with this one.
Oh yeah, those gusts are just going to be very, very long.
Yeah, strap down the trash can, like you said. Thank you. That's a good tip. I didn't even think about that one. Windbreaker. It's a good one. Good
Oh
one.
yeah,
I
for sure.
just got a nice little NewsLink Indiana windbreaker. Might bring it out.
Oh
for
yeah,
the
you
first
gotta
time.
like prep it a little bit, you know.
Yep.
All right, and we will be coming back with sports.
A Cardinal is making a return to the nest, and it's March Madness. We have an update on our NewsLink Indiana bracket standings. All this and more next in sports.
It's something about having that piece of paper. Some people think that's worth more than my skills.
I've run this place for 20 years, but I still need to prove that I'm more than what you see on paper.
You just gotta be so good they can't ignore you.
It's the way my mind works. I have a very mechanical brain.
Analytics and empathy. That's how I've gained clients.
I am more.
I'm more
than who I am on paper.
When I was growing up, my mom was extremely tidy. We were trained to put things back where we got them from. One day, when I walked into my mom's house, I felt like I walked to someone else's house. There was stuff everywhere. And just growing up the way I grew up and to see this transition was very alarming.
When Sean talked to me, it was a wake-up call, and that's when I went to the doctor.
¿Qué color? Perfecto, amigo.
Gracias. Thank you.
What's wrong, amigo?
Donating to a pet's medical care is one of the many ways you can help families in your community. Pets and people belong together. Learn more at petsandpeopletogether.org.
At night, NewsLink Indiana brings you the news before you go to bed.
But Friday mornings, you're waking up with Cardinal weather, bringing you up to speed on the day's top stories.
And giving you up-to-the-minute conditions from the Ball State Weather Center.
And of course, lots of fun.
I gave mine personality. Look, it's got eyebrows. Ooh. My lucky glove didn't even work.
But I also am excited for those fall temperatures.
Start your Friday mornings with Cardinal weather, live on the Cardinal Weather Facebook page.
Welcome back to NewsLink Indiana. I'm Jake Garcia with sports. A Cardinal has returned home to the nest as Peyton Sparks announces that he is transferring back to Ball State men's basketball after a year at Indiana. Sparks only saw 7 minutes of play per game as a Hoosier, averaging 2.1 points and 1.8 rebounds. In his sophomore season as a Cardinal, however, he averaged 13.3 points and 8.7 rebounds. Sparks will look to reignite that Cardinal spark in the upcoming 2024-25 season. To swing it over to the mat, Ball State Gymnastics competes in the MAC Championships over the weekend. This historic season for the Cardinals just continues to get better. Sophomore Zoe Middleton leads the Cards with tying wins on floor and beam and tying for the third on vault. She also becomes the second gymnast in program history to receive the all-around title at the MAC Championships. Freshman Ashley Zemansky earns her first MAC title by splitting the top spot on uneven bars. Ball State scored a total of 196.475 and earns a second place finish on the day behind Western Michigan. But the effort still secures their spot at the NCAA Regionals for the second year in a row. The Cardinals will battle Illinois in the opening round of the NCAA Regionals next Wednesday, April 3rd at 2 p.m. in Ann Arbor, Michigan. While sports are often seen as physical, the mental game cannot be understated. NewsLink Indiana's Jake Dickman learns more about the help that's available for Ball State athletes.
As collegiate sports continue to evolve, so too do the roles of the athletic departments. And for Dr. Lindsay Blom, someone with more than 15 years of experience in sports psychology, that means taking on a new role as Associate Athletic Director for Championship Performance.
It's a super cool name that really means that I oversee the support areas for our student athletes. So sports medicine, strength and conditioning, mental health and wellness, and sports psychology and nutrition.
Blom feels the importance of having proper resources cannot be understated, especially with athletes facing pressure outside of their sport.
She had to look right and act right every moment walking across campus, every moment sitting in class, because some people would be looking for moments that were negative, and our other student athletes to actually feel like they're constantly on is just an enormous amount of stress.
However, despite this added pressure, Blom feels that her field has come a long way since her time as a college soccer player.
We didn't talk about it. We didn't talk about what those resources were. We didn't talk about how to even really get referred over there. So as a general student, that I would have thought about it maybe that way, but not from an athletic standpoint.
And now, in a time where mental coaching is more needed than ever, there is a promising path forward.
I have seen our coaches and our student athletes gain interest in that. It has become more normalized to just have sports psychology around, mental skills and mental performance consulting around.
Even then, there still remains room for growth across all athletic departments, which Blom hopes to lead.
And so really increasing the opportunity for the whole team to work together and for our student athletes to know that team is there, I think in that collaboration, I think is where we can grow the most across the board, not just Ball State specifically.
In Muncie, Jake Dickman, NewsLink, Indiana.
And with the annual March Madness tournament comes the annual NewsLink Indiana March Madness Bracket Challenge. Here's an update on the standings after the first 2 rounds. At the top, Bryce Demasevich is in first place with 50 points, Gavin Smith is in second place with 48, and Sophie Schick is in third with 46 points. And at the bottom, in third to last, is Brooke Fulrad with 30 points, followed by Jay Lessick with 26 points. And in last is Assistant Sports Director Max Robson with just 23 measly points. And big news, Peyton Sparks returning to Ball State. It's going to be interesting to see what he brings back to this team.
Yeah, he's very excited to be back in the MAC after trying out the Big Ten, and I'm excited to see it as well.
Yeah, I definitely think that he'll bring that spark back to the team. You know what I mean? Stay with us for one final look at the weather after the break.
Attacks against Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders are on the rise.
My simple solution to the problem was remove people from the scene and help them feel safer. In terms of the hate crimes, I think there is so much more work to be done. We really need to come together and tackle this issue as a community.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. Two milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal. A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable.
The sad reality is fentanyl is being mixed into everything now.
More kids should know.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome back to NewsLink Indiana. Oliver, what do we got looking for our final look at weather?
Well, we have those wind advisories still in effect until 6 p.m. tomorrow, and we are going to be seeing some more of those windy conditions as we make our way through the day. Could be seeing some severe storms in the later afternoon after a large band of rain in the morning, but after that, pretty mild week ahead until you get into the weekend.
Thanks, Oliver. And that's all tonight for NewsLink Indiana. Be sure to tune in tomorrow night at 9, streaming live on the NewsLink Indiana Facebook page.
And for news anytime, anywhere, just go to ballstatedaily.com. Have a great night and stay safe.